Microphone check 1 2. All right. Give me a minute to get on the air here. We're only going to talk for a few minutes today. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in right now. See if we can get the clip going. And then we are going to start. All right, and thank any and everyone who will tune into the 19 Report, telling it like it is, the Truth Show. Myself, Dale Castro Powell. I got a few things to talk about with Castro, another friend of ours who's going through some things right now. And then I want to bring up a few points, and then we're going to close it down for the day. First, I want to get some advertisement out of the way. If you have any events, special events coming up, you want a live stream, you want video footage, you want professional photos done, capturing the right moments, you want quality, you want to deal with Groove 19 Promotions, LLC out of Manning, South Carolina, myself, Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. We are available for every kind of event. With the exception of nightclubs. We don't do nightclubs, unfortunately, but we do videos and we do weddings and other things. So contact Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. You can contact me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn for your video and photo needs. Now, we want to get started today. We got a very important message to pass on. It won't take long. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to play the Truth Show intro, but I can't seem to find it right now. So I'm going to play the Like It Is intro, and I'll be right back. Be right back, Instagram.
Tell me like it is, and not like it was. Tell me like it is, and not like it was. Tell me like it is. Tell me like it is. Like it is. Like it is. Tell me like it is. Like it is.
All right, Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina, sincerely thanking everyone for tuning in. I want to get into a few subjects today. Myself and Dale Castro Powell again. Castro is going through a bout of the COVID. As I stated earlier, he did get the vaccines as he was required to do, but this one, the new virus caught up with him, and he was feeling fine. And then this morning he woke up and he's not feeling very well, very sick, very weak. And again, he attributes that to stress. He's going through a lot. Him and his son's mother, they're coming close to their trial date. And of course, you're going to be very stressed about that. Someone takes the life of your child, and you do not want them to get off scot-free with that. But in any technicality, can cause an issue. So there's a lot of concern about that. We'll keep you informed with that. So he's been on a CPAP machine, and he's been on breathing treatments for the last hour or two, trying to get his health back right. And he was trying to get on the show today, but he just hit me up around 4 o'clock. He's not feeling any better. So we asked for you to send prayers out, not only to Castro, but to the family as well, because they're all part of the virus is in the house. And one of the topics we wanted to talk about today is, do some think COVID is a joke? Now, I have a friend of mine. There was 3 people that took care of myself, my son, and my wife when I was down with my heart issues. And they know who they are. That's Farouk. That's Dale Castro Powell and my big homie Doug. They kept in touch with my wife and kept in touch with my son. And Dale used to cook for my son. Always, because my son loved to eat chicken, because he didn't eat meat for 10 years. And then he went on a chicken binge, and Dale would always provide him with the chicken and other things like that off the grill. He would actually go outside, buy the chicken, put it on the grill, and cook it for my son, and even cook for me when I came home. So I you got close ties with people. You know that in your time of trouble, they're going to be there. And so you're always going to be loyal to people like that. It takes a lot not to be loyal to people like that. So I want to thank him for that. And my friend Farouk, unfortunately, and this is the strongest guy I ever seen. I seen this guy get hit, paralyzed for weeks, and fight and protect his family and protect me and protect, he's just a loyal person, loyal to Islam, loyal to truth. And the one of the people that you would not think that something like this would grab a hold of, but it did. And he is suffering from he's been in the hospital for, this will make his 5th week in the hospital, on oxygen. He gets off the oxygen and he got to get back on the oxygen, and it's just that bad. So we got a lot going on. Farouk is down, Castro is down, myself, Doug, we trying to stay up and trying to stay healthy, and it's a battle. So I'm asking everyone to pray for them. And we asked the question, do people think that the COVID virus is a joke? And we've lost so many people because of this virus. And I'm angry with a lot of people about the virus, especially those of you so-called woke people. In the beginning, 2-3 years ago, y'all were telling people, hey, we don't have anything to worry about because we're the melanated people. We're melanated. And I was on the other side of that saying, don't matter if you melanated or not. I said melanin has rejected black people because we rejected truth and we rejected God. So this is a plague. This is a part of the 10 plagues that God promised would be a part of the affliction of Pharaoh and the children of Israel. And I said that this COVID virus will not just go away. But my woke people, it's 5G, it's this, it's that. And you never came back and you never corrected it. You just went off the air. I lost about 100 followers on Facebook debating about this thing. Now we are losing black girls, black boys, black women, elders, young people. We're losing them to complications of this virus and the different and I talked about how it would double and split, and that it would have offshoots of it, and that they would become more airborne. Now, I understand if you have a problem with me. Now, I don't understand it. I don't, and I'm offended by it. But when someone gives you a message, you better look closer at the message and not be so caught up on the messenger that you refuse to listen to what's being said. Because I don't speak just to be speaking. I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of money. How can you have a lot in a world that you know is not right? You got to find another path. But at the same time, through all of your hurt and pain, you got to constantly be telling the truth. So I never got an opportunity to really heal after this operation. And I'm paying for it now. My health is very bad now, but I thug it out. You're going to have to. So I want prayers to be said and prayers to be lifted for those who have lost loved ones from COVID, who will lost loved ones from COVID, who are suffering from it at this point. This is not a joke. This is not a game. And we will go into it more extensively, God willing, when Dale gets back on his feet, because he under a lot of stress. If you never lost a child, you won't know that stress. And if you never have to go up for trial and have a jury of people say that the person who murdered your child is either guilty, not guilty, will serve this amount of time or no time. If you've never been through that, then you don't know what stress is, because you're backed into a corner at that point. And you have to face the realization that if they're found innocent, you're going to have to either let it go or do something about it. And as a man, that's very stressful. So yeah, we're going to be back on the air. We were supposed to be back on many occasions, but things come up, and you gotta deal with those things as they come, and you gotta prioritize. Okay, so the Truth Show 2022, our topics were going to be and are going to be, God willing, do something. COVID is a joke. I don't want to go into it too much, but I do want to show you a short clip. It's about a minute long. The second topic is, do we pay attention to our heart, physical, spiritual, and mental? And the third part is negative energy, because we are suffering from an accumulation of negative energy in the atmosphere, in our minds, in our homes, in our community. And it's all due to a lack of comprehension, all due to desire and a desire to be right and not to follow what's right. But regardless as to what I feel, I want to feel like I'm right. So we're going through difficult periods, all by God's design. God allows these things to happen because in our hearts, we desire to do what we want to do, and he's going to allow us to play out our desires. I don't care if you're talking righteous. I don't care if you're talking like you're the most holy person. I don't care if you're the biggest troublemaker or whatever. We're going to have to play these things out until the desires of the heart change. And that's what God did to Pharaoh. And we are in the exact same period. The past is now. Pharaoh is now. And the children of Israel are now. And we're going through the vicissitudes of life from that period to now the same way. But some people are, we marginalize things and we put things in a bubble because that's where we live. We never been into trouble. We never been around shooting. We never been around prostitution, gangs, children rebellion. Some of us don't even have children, so we can't relate. If you live in a bubble where everything is one way in your world, you want it that way, but there are other worlds out there and they're going to clash, and that's what's happening right now. The worlds are clashing. So trouble is on the horizon, more trouble than you will ever know. So I want to talk about some of that trouble for a minute. This won't take long, but I just want to show this clip. I don't even have to show the clip. I'm going to just talk it through. The purpose of wearing a mask is not that only that you don't catch anything from a person next to you. The purpose of wearing a mask is so that you don't spread anything. Because if you're like me, when I talk, I spit, little sprinkles of water comes out of my mouth. Now, if I'm within 6 feet of you and that sprinkle comes out of my mouth into your mouth, or out of my mouth to your nose, my mouth to your eyes, I can spread the virus to you just that quick. So not only out of respect for myself and others, but out of respect for you, I'm going to wear the mask. We should all wear the mask. And you got a group of people who want to protest wearing the mask because they want to do what they want to do. And at the same time, they're trying to stop you from wearing the mask, but that's what you want to do. So society has become hypocritical. We're not going to do what you say. Do what I say. See how much sense that makes? And you walk into an establishment and all these people looking at you like you're crazy for having on a mask, making jokes for you for having on a mask, but people are dying. And I know we want to keep putting ourselves on the same level as every other race, but we're not on the same level. We're not on the same level mentally, spiritually, or health-wise. So Black folks are dying at a disproportionate number. This is documented. Number one, because we think we can't die. God forbid you get shot and don't die. You really think you a superhero. But we don't think this virus is taking our lives, but it is. The young are partying all night, coming home. They don't get sick because they're constantly active, but they spread it to the less active people in the family and they get sick. And underlying conditions are what connects on to the virus and causes those underlying conditions. You got bronchitis, you got asthma, you got something else, and it's an underlying condition that tags onto the virus and causes respiratory failure. My friend is in the hospital now, has been in there for 5 weeks, and this is a strong dude. And this virus has him on his back on oxygen. I told him, don't try to text or anything. I'm going to text you twice a day and just give me a thumbs up to let me know you still fighting. All I got this morning was a thumbs up. That's it. Meaning he's fighting. Teeter-tottering between life and death, because when your oxygen level goes down, you can't breathe. You can't live. Breath is life. Same thing with anyone that's suffering through with the virus. It is not a joke. And I long and waited for these people who were arguing this point about 5G and which 5G will weaken the immune system, another part of weakening the immune system. But let's talk about this man-made genetically altered virus that comes from the SARS virus. COVID has always been out there. It is nothing new. That comes from the Black Plague virus from out of Alaska and out of what do you call it? The North Pole, where they found this virus in the ice and took the DNA off of people who died in the ice who still had the Black Plague and mutated that DNA. And now that DNA attacks specific people whose DNA or genetics responds to this virus. Some people, it doesn't bother at all. But some people, their DNA is going to connect with that thing and cause havoc in the body. That is one of the plagues of the 10 plagues spoken of in the Bible. These are warning signs to Pharaoh. And let me tell you something. Pharaoh is not just the people in the White House or the shadow government or the other parts of the government that you don't see. Pharaoh can be you. Pharaoh can be your neighbor. Pharaoh can be anyone who refuses to go by the rules of the universal laws of God and try to change them. That is a Pharaoh. That is someone who is trying to impose their thinking on you by force. That is a Pharaoh. So we are in the plagues of God. We are in the 10th plague, actually, where the young are being taken away as a punishment to the old who refuse to tell the young to stop doing what they're doing. The parents are not telling the children what you're doing is wrong. Rather, you are afraid of them or you're benefiting from the evil that they do. And many of our parents are benefiting from the money brought in from the dirt being done, and we're going to turn a blind eye until they get caught. As a result of that, those plagues are on our children. I want to show you a headline. I'm not going to get too much into it, a little bit, because I want to show you what's happening. Today's headline in Clarendon Live: 2 injured in Manning shooting, suspect still at large. You can read the article for yourself. I'm not going to go into it, but stemming from this shooting, I just got a call that there was another shooting. 2 people injured. I don't know if they're dead or not, but they've been injured just now within the last hour. These are all a part of the 10 plagues of Egypt. We are in Egypt. We are the chosen people who the elders will die in the desert because we refuse to teach the young. We stay in church day in and day out, and I am not attacking church. I love church. I love God. I love Jesus Christ. This is not a hustle to me. I don't have to answer to any of you because none of you are doing anything for me as I'm not doing anything for you. So I don't feel like I have to answer to you. So when something comes out of my mouth by God's permission, I mean what I'm saying. I've always loved Jesus, not the white guy, but Jesus. I've always loved God. I've always loved the fact that there was something bigger than this world. Otherwise, the world will control you. So here we are. 10 plagues. Again, there were 10 commandments. 10 is the number that is significant in the in numerology and in the Bible because it represents the fullness of quantity. 10 represents the fullness of quantity. And 10 Egyptian plagues means completed plagues, means completely plagues, means that what God is giving to us will not stop until the people turn around and say, we were wrong. And the only people in the Bible who took God's warning to heart were the people of Nineveh, the ones that Jonah went to. Jonah was punished more than the people of Nineveh because Jonah said, these rich people are not going to listen to me. I'm not going to talk to them. And that's when he got swallowed up And when he got spit back out, he went to the people of Nineveh and told them what God said. They listened to him. They believed him. They tore their clothes off and asked God for forgiveness. Nobody else did that. Everybody else fought God. In today's society, our young children don't see a God that they can't see. They don't read, they don't study, they don't have a connection to the universal law of things because they're too high to have a connection. And Satan intended to get you high. Satan intended for you to get confused. So the only things that you all will listen to is another person that you see filling your mind up with what ifs, with promises, and have you fighting a battle that has no legitimate ending to it. This is a never-ending fight. You shoot me, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna go over there and shoot them. They're gonna shoot them. We're gonna shoot your house. You're gonna shoot my house. We're gonna shoot your car. You're gonna shoot my car. I'm gonna kill your child. You're gonna kill my child. But it has no end. And if Los Angeles and New York and DC and Detroit and New Orleans and Atlanta, it's not teaching us anything, then we don't want to learn. So we are in this constant bubble of I'm doing fine. So what's wrong with everybody else? They can't do fine. And it's not until we lose somebody. Most of the people in the fight for the revolution now had to lose a loved one. Other than that, they wouldn't be in the fight. Other than that, they wouldn't be in the fight. So most people have to lose someone in order to wake up to the reality of, oh, this can happen to anybody. I thought I was safe. I followed the rules of the land and I thought I was safe. So the number 10 represents the fullness, and the 10th plague is, I'm trying to find it. You know, we went through the death of the cattle, the livestock. We went through the ashes turned to boils and sores. That's your AIDS, your HIV. That's all of that. And AOC test positive for COVID. I'm just looking at the news. Hail rained down in the form of fire. You see in Los Angeles, in Colorado, fires tearing down everything, storms everywhere, locusts sent from the sky. We're seeing that. The crops are dying. 3 days of complete darkness. People have been in darkness. Some people were on a highway for almost 30-something hours in complete darkness. This is happening. And finally, the ultimate power of Egypt, the death plague, death of the firstborn. Says the king of Egypt was worshipped by the Egyptians because he was considered to be the greatest Egyptian god of all. It was believed that he was actually the son of Ra, himself manifested in the flesh. Ra is the sun god. Ra. After the plague of darkness fell throughout the land was lifted, Pharaoh resumed his position of bargaining with the Lord and offered Moses another deal. See, all we do is offer God deals. And what that means is the streets are now saying, Assalamu alaikum, praise God, on God. They're saying these things in the street because now they're bargaining with God. I'm going to keep God close enough so if I get into trouble, I can run back that way. Most of the time when young brothers get locked up, when the preacher comes, they're all in there talking to the preacher. They're all trying to find a way out until they get out, and then they get back. They go from God to goddamn in 10 seconds or less. So it says that Pharaoh resumed his position of bargaining and offered Moses another deal. Since virtually all of the Egyptian animals had been consumed by the judgment of the Lord, Pharaoh now consented to the request made to let the people go, but they must leave their animals behind. So if you and I are going to leave this world and the idea of this world, because the Bible says to be in it and not of it, we got to leave everything of this world behind. And that was the problem in the Bible when the rich man came to Jesus and asked him, how could he be saved? And Jesus said, you must deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. The man could not deny his riches. He had too much. So then the quotations come up, and Christ says it's easier for a man to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Then it talks about money being the root of all evil. And this is where we are. For the dollar, the rich folks stay quiet. So you can't depend on your politicians and your preachers because they're making money. You can't depend on people who are making money to speak up against what's going on in society because they don't want to ruin their good thing. They're out of the game altogether. Only a few of them will still fight the fight. But you got to tell the whole story. You can't tell half and expect to get a full result. So if you're not ready to tell it all, then you're not in the fight. So Satan is still bargaining with God, and that's what's happening. Because dudes are getting shot 10 and 15 times and living, so they're saying, I can't be killed. I'm unkillable. I'm going to rap about it some more. I'm going to talk about it some more. But you're not dead because you weren't meant to be dead yet. That's the only reason. You're not dead because the bullet didn't hit the right organ. And most importantly, you're not dead because the physicians, 9 times out of 10 who are Caucasian, know their job so well that they practice on you and saved your life. But we're taking it like we're some superhero. So my heart is heavy today with everything that's going on in Manning, South Carolina. It is very busy. It's like we living in a war zone. It's like we're living in New York or New Orleans or DC or Detroit or Baltimore or Philly or Atlanta. It's that bad. And some of you don't know nothing about this. Some of you don't know nothing about what's going on in the streets. Nothing about the rape, the murders, the attempted murders, the robberies. You don't know nothing about it because you're in your quiet little box. So you can go to church and religious meetings all the time and talk about the goodness of God, but you can't talk about the plagues. And that's where we are. We're in the book of Revelations now, where the dragon is sitting right at the womb waiting on the baby to be delivered so he can devour it. That's where we are. So Pharaoh refused, which means that our children are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. Nothing in this world, is going to stop them from doing what they're doing at this point. Nothing. Their minds are set like Pharaoh's mind was set. And the only thing that can stop them is God. Because at the end of all of this, Pharaoh had to admit that there is no God but Allah. And in the Holy Quran, Allah says he will use Pharaoh as an example to teach, because there will be more pharaohs coming. Young folks, y'all are the pharaohs. Y'all are the ones who refuse because you're not afraid. You got the courage, you got the knowledge, and you can win in this world, but not of it. But you choose to do what you're doing. You want to do it. And because your minds, young people, are so active, you try to slow your thinking down by doing drugs. But you get addicted to the drugs because God has your mind on 10. So you got to stay high. And the thing we do as a people is that we justify our dirt. It's called cognitive dissonance. So when we know we are drunk, we justify drinking. I got that good stuff. You're drunk. When we know we are a weed head, well, I smoke the good stuff. You're a weed head. Because you're trying to calm down that busy mind. That busy mind is at warp speed because God is calling you. You all are the great ones. Those of you out there smoking and shooting and killing, y'all are the great ones. But Satan attached himself to you because he had to detour you from your intent, from what God intended for you. It's all true. And you're not going to get anything in any other religious circle with the exception of God wants you to do this and God wants you to have that. But they can never tap into this because they don't know what's going on the street. And they don't want to know. They don't want to get involved with that. They see themselves as separate. I don't, because I know a bullet doesn't have a name on it. I know that violence doesn't have a name on it. I know that the strong try to take advantage of the weak, and the weak got to get strong. Jesus said, beat your shovels and plows into spears. Jesus said, it's time to go to war. So we at war. I don't want to run from war. I want to fight Whether I fall at the beginning of the fight or last to the end, it don't matter so much. I would like to live a long time, but I want it on record in my soul that I was a fighter for God's truth. Rather, no matter how you got to fight it, that's how I want to fight it. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A courageous man only can die one time. One time. So this is where we are. Myself, Castro Powell. We'll be back on the Truth Show 2022. Want to talk, really talk about the physical and spiritual and mental problems we have in our hearts. Because I spoke about the three brains, and that's the sexual region, the heart, and the physical brain. Those are the three brains of man and woman. Must be talked about. I told you years ago that women will start being the main shooters in this violence that's going on, and by God's permission, I said that from God, and it's true. The women are starting to kill their boyfriends, kill their children. Shoot, they just shooting, man. They just bad as the dudes. And we must implement a plan to try to save this generation. Generation X from 1989, 90 up into 2000, man, y'all really got it, boy. Y'all got in the middle of some mess. And we ushered you all into it, but you all had to experience it. So you're born addicted to drugs, addicted to sex. You're born neglected. You're born molested. You're born raped, robbed, and you're born ignorant. You don't read anymore. You were put in a bad position, and Satan is happy about that. Because now you can only judge life based on what you see, not what you hear or read. You just only believe what you see, and even that's not true. And Satan is using adults, rappers, Gucci Mane, Jay-Z, Nas, Fetty Wap, all these people, Jim Jones, to lead you deeper into hell. That's their job. Their job is at 50 and 55, and some of them are that old. Their job is to dye their hair, keep the gray out, go to the gym and bulk up and look young, and talk to you about street life. And on the same ticket, talk to you about getting out of the street. All they're doing is they are the Lucifer, pushing the choice in front of you, knowing that you're going to choose the easiest route, or what you perceive as the easiest route. So I thank you for tuning in. I don't want to go too deep into anything right now. I did want to put that out there. I do want to caution us about the negative energy that is floating around in our minds right now, in our homes, and in our communities. It's there. It's there for a reason. Only the strong are going to survive in this day and time. You have to know when to shut up, and most of us don't. We shut up when we feel like it, but not when we need to. You have to know when to speak, when to stand up, and most of us don't. You have to know when to pick weapons up and when to put them down, and most of us don't. There are no rules. As I said in the past, I would rather be around organized crime than unorganized crime. And right now, we are around unorganized crime. Anybody can get it. Violence is just violence. That's anarchy. We are in some trouble. And I plead with religious leaders. I noticed that when we say a lot of things on the internet, it's repeated in somebody else's voice, and y'all are listening. That's cool. But I plead with you all to watch the news in the morning, read the newspaper, and find out what's really going on in society, and stop feeding your congregation this foolishness that because they come to church every Sunday, all of a sudden they're blessed and protected and highly favored. They don't have no trouble. People in the church are dying. People in the church are lonely. People in the church are having sex, gay sex, same sex, adulterous relationship sex. People in the church are stealing, robbing, lying. People in the church have anxiety. People in the church are horny. People in the church selling drugs. People in the church raping and robbing, drive-by shooting. The preacher got more than one woman. The deacon got more than one woman. All of it right there. But all you can tell them is that everything gonna be all right because God says so. And if you believe in this, this is gonna get you there. Stop lying. Stop it. People are suffering and you're not giving them the answers that God gave you to give them because you don't want to lose anybody. So I thank y'all for tuning in. This Jamil Salib Zamir out of Manning, South Carolina. My heart is very troubled right now with what's going on in Clarendon County. Most of you don't even know because your ear is not to the street. But I get words from people. I get calls from people because they know what I'm about. They know what I'm about, and they know that I'm sincere in wanting to see all of this violence end, but I know it won't, it can't, only when God stops it, and only when people stand up in unison to stop it. But unfortunately, more death has to occur because most of you don't even know your children are affiliated with the violence. You don't even know. I know where my children are, believe it or not, because they'll tell me where they are. They'll tell me what they're doing. I got to talk to you, Pop. I need to tell you something, Pop. This is happening. So if that happens, okay. And they'll tell you, I never tell them don't do what you're doing. But boy, I be real quiet about it. I give my point of view and I leave it. And I give my point of view to all of the young boys who call me Unc and hit me up on Messenger, hit me up in in a text, or call me. Because many of them are very troubled in their minds. They're very confused. They're looking for a way out and can't find it. So the first thing they're going to do is turn back to what they know, which is the people they know. It takes a strong person to turn away from everything you know to stand up and say, I'm going to stand on this. You got to be extra strong. Extra strong. But I'm telling you, young people, I am not here to condemn you. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I wish you would put the guns down and fight for a reason, but I understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it's not a righteous cause. It's not righteous at all. And I know that you're confused because God has been pulling on you since birth, and it's too much power. You can't handle it. Most women can't handle power. Most men can't handle power. It's too much. The only ones that handle it, if you pay attention, are those that they call your superheroes, Marvel characters. You all have those powers to do great things. But if you don't maintain it, and the only person that could teach them how to maintain it in the fictional world was Professor Xavier. He used to teach them how to balance out their superpowers. You all have superpowers. That's why you can't sit still. You're connected with the universe. That's why guns make you feel powerful. Don't tell me no difference. Your dick is hard when you bust that gun. You excited, you shaking, you nervous, you feel alive when you bust that gun. But God got a bigger mission for you all. We got a lot of work to do. And Allah wants you with him, or by whatever name you call God. God does not clash with himself. In the Bible, he goes by many names: the Lord of the worlds, the cherisher, the sustainer, El Shaddai, Elohim, all the same person. God does not clash. Allah, all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir. We'll be back. Pray for Dale Castro Powell and his family, my family, Farouk's family, Doug family, because these are the guys, man. Listen, they feed me knowledge. They feed me things that I don't know. I pray for all the young boys that call me, that come by and talk to me, because they know I ain't saying nothing to nobody about nothing, because I don't know nothing. After I'm talk to them, I get convenient amnesia. And I'm grateful for you all for talking to me, for telling me what's happening and why it's happening. And I'm praying and I'm trying my very best to help. And all I need you to do is listen and call on Allah, and he'll drop that string down to you, and you hold on to that rope, and he will pull you up out of this mess a little bit at a time. You won't leave the situation, but you will leave the condition. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir, Manning, South Carolina. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this month installment of the 19 Report. I am your host, Brother Johnny. I walked a thin line between right and wrong, took my fears to God, then I wrote this song. The spirit kept calling, so I answered the phone, and then I manned up and got some backbone. My mind resonates at a much higher tone, solid foundation, empire zone. 3 mountains. I'm in one, right to left counted, 9 and then 1, left to right switch it, 1 and then 9, west to east, south to north, a thin line. I know Christ exists, cause his mercy allows me a chance to stand 3 on a square. Yeah, we in there. This is Brother Johnny of Groove 19 Promotions.